Welcome. In front of me I have the OnePlus Pad 3 with a smart keyboard, and I'll be going over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and also its specifications. So anyway, I'll just get straight into it. Separate these two boxes. There we go. So for the moment I'm gonna set the tablet to the side and start off with the keyboard, which we do have pull tab right here. Makes it much easier to open it up. Come on. There we go. This actually looks nicer than I expected. So we got part 1 and part 2 of this. So this attaches like so here, but it's not automatic. What? Huh? Okay, interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna check it out in a second. So we have a trackpad right here, and a pretty decent travel for such a thin keyboard. Damn, that's not bad. Anyway, let's move over to the tablet. Again, 2 more pull tabs. There we go. Feels nice in hand, I want to point that out. Has nice rounded corners, so right here and also on the, well, in this side right here. So it makes it nice to like hold it in hand. I'm gonna set it to the side for the moment while it's booting up and move over to the accessory box right here. And all we have right here is a Type-C to Type-A charging cable with some instructions, and that's it. So throw that to the ground, and I'm gonna first begin with actually applying the case right here. See how that fits. Okay, not the most secure kind of attachment right here. The magnets are very like good, I would say, though it's holding on right now. So yeah, it can hold it, but just a little bit of a nudge and it just pops off. Obviously you can use this alone, you don't need the keyboard, and this just allows you to, in this case, prop it up, have a nice kickstand, so that's actually pretty nice. And it folds up nicely, so it's almost perfectly flat. I'm gonna showcase this. As you can see, it's almost perfectly flat. Now when it comes down to this, let's see how it fits. Okay, so it attaches magnetically here, by the looks of it. Yep, there we go. So it has like a couple attachment points, so it's not always perfect. You can flip this and it just kind of locks in, so you won't be yoinking it out. So let's see, if I detach it, you can see that right now it attached incorrectly. That's correctly. Yep. So having it laying like this, seems to be a pretty decent device. It has a more squared off kind of aspect ratio if you plan to use this as a computer. The normal trackpad right here. Yep. Anyway, let's move over to the specifications of this pretty big device. So we have a 13.2-inch display, so that's obviously it's a bit on the bigger side. It's a 2400 by 3392 pixel display, IPS LCD, unfortunately, with Dolby Vision support and 144 Hz refresh rate and a brightness of about 900 nits. It also boasts 87.3% screen to body ratio with 315 pixels per inch. Display right here would have been almost perfect if it actually was like AMOLED or OLED display. I'm very huge advocate of like having a OLED AMOLED displays on specifically even tablets, as these are devices that you'll probably be binge watching Netflix and stuff like that on it, just because it's comfortable and a bit bigger display than, for instance, your phone. And it's also a device that you can take on the go. It's relatively small, light when you compare it to a laptop. So having a better display right here is, in my opinion, a must. And unfortunately, OnePlus just kind of skimped out in the OLED department right here and decided to give you an LCD IPS, unfortunately, which for viewing purposes, it won't be as good as, well, obviously an OLED display. And that's just personal preference. If you don't really mind it, that's fine. But for people that like those inky blacks where screen is just straight up off when something is just pure black, yeah, this won't do that. It's a LCD display, while OLED would be able to do that. Now, if we move over to the internals, we have a 12,140 mAh battery, 12 gigabytes of RAM, at least at the lowest end, with 256 gigs of storage, but it can get another option of 512 gigs of storage with 16 gigs of RAM, both running UFS 4.0 storage type. It's powered by a Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is the best processor you can get from Snapdragon, and just generally the best one when it comes down to processors all in all. I think the only thing that might be better is just the Apple silicon, but that's limited to Apple devices. So anyway, fantastic processor in here. Then we have 80 watts charging speed for the device, though obviously no provided charger. And let's see, anything else? Let's actually flip it over. We have a single camera setup at the back, which looks pretty pitiful, and that is a 13 megapixel sensor that can shoot at 4K 30 frames apparently and 1080p 30 frames. And then at the front right here we have our selfie that does that's an 8 megapixel that does 1080p at 30 frames. And yeah, that's basically everything that there is to the device. Last thing to probably mention would be the price of this, and it comes at about 600 euros. So it is, for a tablet, it's actually not that bad. When you compare it to something like Samsung, those come at closer to like 1,000. So this is nearly half the price while still packing pretty freaking good like processor in here. Or pretty good. It is really good, honestly. I'm gonna double check it, and yep, that price seems to be correct, as I am pulling these informations from GSM Arena, shout out, as they do have pretty reliable information for the most part. Now, the only thing that this device is lacking is obviously a stylus right here. We have keyboard and all that stuff, but no stylus, and I don't even know if this can use a stylus. So if you want to get a device like this for creative work, you might want to look into that specifically, as obviously for creative work, if you can't use a stylus, if you want to draw on it, obviously, it defeats the purpose, and you know, lower price tag will mean nothing if it won't be able to do what you need it to do. For replacement to a laptop, it seems to be a pretty decent device. It's packing outstanding specifications for that, with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. That is a stupid fast processor, and sufficient amount of RAMs to do multitasking no problem. The only limitations will be, for the most part, Android. That's what always the limitation is for these devices nowadays, especially when you're trying to use them as a computer. This is the kind of drawback. So Android will be limiting factor, and other than that, the device will have enough power to basically, these devices nowadays are powerful enough to run Windows normally, like full-fledged Windows, and people have done it even on phones, like older ones, even from OnePlus, as OnePlus seems to be pretty good at, or was at least pretty good at that. And Windows does support ARM, so technically, if you're savvy enough, you could possibly just flash this Android with a full-fledged Windows and have a genuine Windows experience right here. And the hardware right here is plenty good enough to do any kind of demanding tasks even from Windows. All minus like heavy gaming. This might be a little bit more kind of iffy, but in general, like for Android at least, with this processor you can even do heavy gaming for whatever games are for Android, which nowadays there's plenty games that are the same thing as you have on desktop, and these devices have enough power to run through this without a problem. And obviously this device is no exception. So yeah, that's about it for productivity, gaming, and all that stuff. This device seems to be fantastic. For media consumption, I would probably recommend looking for something that actually has an AMOLED display or OLED that will give you just a better experience with a nicer looking image. But if you want to save up money and this is what you're looking at, it still should be a good enough kind of device for that. Obviously, there won't be this big of a difference between these displays, but it will be in specific kind of like, just kind of explain this if you don't know what it is. When, for instance, you have a dark environment and let's just say a fire, that fire will be popping off, like the brightness will be there, and the black around it, darkness or whatever, would just be straight like turned off. So something that you won't be getting with the display like this one, where the black will just kind of look more washed out gray and will still emanate light, even though darkness is literally the absence of light. So yeah, LCD IPS won't be the best for that, but normally lit things should have no problem. You won't really be seeing that much of a difference. It's just when it comes down to these two kind of like separate, where you have very dark something and also some component on the screen that is very illuminated. That's where you will really see the difference between these two types of displays. So anyway, that's about it. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.